Hi everyone, welcome to the weekly review of my M1 Finance dividend portfolio. Balance on the account is $209,461.22. I don't even know what to say when it comes to this balance because this is significantly less than what it was last week, the week before that. And I just don't know how to process what has happened in the stock market, which is essentially a bloodbath because of who we have in government and these ridiculous tariffs. So I'm just going to go through the details as usual, but it definitely is hard making this video, and I thought about not making this video and not making any more videos actually for the rest of 2025 and just take a year off for my mental health. But I did receive a couple of messages from folks just encouraging me to keep on posting and to think long term. So I think getting those messages gave me a new energy in terms of I have to keep going despite these horrific losses. And yes, I understand it's not a confirmed loss until I sold, but it's a loss. The money's not there. So for me, until that money comes back, it's not there. So it's just been really tough. And yes, I've even just thought about not investing anymore for the rest of 2025, like not putting any more money into it. And I know for everyone who's going to say like, oh, it's on sale, buy the dip, buy the dip. I do think that is really dismissive to people who like this stuff like really impacts them. And folks who it's not just so easy for them to just say buy the dip. Folks like me, when we're seeing thousands upon thousands of dollars literally go down the drain to then say, oh, put more money in. I don't know. I feel like it's a bit dismissive in terms of how people feel. And I understand you don't invest based off emotions, you invest based off data, but how people feel are valid. And I think it's important to acknowledge that. So as of right now, I don't want to put any more money into the stock market, and I'm not sure that I will. And I think that, to date, I've put in a lot of money anyway. So I think if that's all I put in for the entire year of 2025, I don't think that's a bad amount. So I still haven't decided on that, whether I'm going to put any additional money into it. Maybe I'll take a break for a couple months, or maybe from now through August, I don't put any money in, and then September through the end of the year, I might start putting some small amounts, or I might just decide to just put like $100 a week into the portfolio, and like that's it. And then if you're wondering, well, what would you do with the other money that you would have put in? I'm just going to stockpile cash. I was typically not someone who was a supporter of hoarding cash, but with this government and who's ruling it, I just can't see a bright future. So for me, I'm like, yeah, hoarding cash actually sounds like a really great idea. So I will be hoarding a lot more cash, or maybe all of my cash, as I figure out what I want to do ultimately in terms of investing in this portfolio for the rest of 2025. These are my real raw emotions and thoughts. I don't create scripts for these videos. I just talk. So we'll see. Maybe next week I'll feel a little bit better or I'll feel worse. But as of right now, I don't want to put any more money in. And if I do, it will be like $100 per week. And that's it. And the rest of my money will go into cash. All right, let's actually get into the performance for the past week. Do I even want to do it? No, but I'm going to give you the information. I'm going to be transparent like I said I would every single week. So here we go. Let's look at the complete disaster of last week. So last week, drum roll, portfolio's down $20,000.66. If that is not ridiculous, I don't know what is. That is such a ridiculous amount of money to be down in a portfolio in a single week. All right, let's just try to get through these numbers. So it's down 20,000 or down 8.73%. I have three holdings. The first is VU, which is the S&P 500. That was down 8.86% or $13,717.16. SEHD was down 8.39% or $5,966.09. And then QQQM, which tracks the NASDAQ 100, was down 9.74% or $317.41. This is so painful to see, like so painful. But this is what it is. And then let's see what the year to date is, right? So that's 1 week year to date. Ta-da! I am down $26,594.64, or I'm down 12.11%. So seeing these type of numbers doesn't give me any desire to put not even one more dollar into the stock market. Like, I've already lost enough. Yes, I'm not going to sell anything and lock in the loss, but this whole idea of investing just seems like a complete waste of time, with me essentially putting money in only to lose all of it. All right, so let's go back to the past week. Let's look at the activities. So this past week, actually, let's look at the dividend payouts for SCHD and VU. So on March 31st, I did get my Q1 2025 dividend payout for SCHD. That was $633.43. And if you're wondering how many shares of SCHD I have to get that amount of dividend, I have 2,589 shares. And then let's go back. Then I also got the Q1 2025 dividend payout for VU. That was in the amount of $546.91. I have been aggressively invested in VU since the start of this year, so I'm glad to see that dividend amount went up. And same thing, if you're curious how many shares I have 302 shares. All right, so those were the two dividends that got paid out. And then on March 31st, I put in $200 cash. And then on March 31st, I got one buy in the amount of $205.36. So that's the $200 in cash that I put out. And then that $5.36, that's the Q1 2025 dividend that I got paid out for QQQM. So you see here, March 28th, I got $5.36. So it's just add in the $200 I put in plus that $5.36. It all went to VU, and I got 0.40 share. And then on April 1st, the dividends got reinvested. That's what I have them set for, 100% to get reinvested. So I got one buy in the amount of $1,180.34. That's the $546.91 of VU plus the $633.43 of SCHD dividend. So that traded, it all went to SCHD, and I got 42.44 shares. So I did buy some SCHD. And then on April 2nd, I put in $35, one buy. It went to SCHD, and I got 1.26 shares. So for the past week of my own money, I put in the $200 plus the $35, so $235. And if we just look at the recap, you see here, the portfolio started at $228,041.18. The cash flow of that's adding up the dividends plus the cash that I put in. That's why it's $1,420.70. And still a massive loss of $20,000. Like, I can't even get over that number. That's such a ridiculous number. All right, and brings the balance to 209,461. Let's go ahead and look at the funding. So to date, I've put in $29,235 into this portfolio. So this is what I was saying, that if I just stop now and not put another dime in for the rest of 2025, I still think putting almost $30,000 into a portfolio for a year is still something to celebrate. So I'm at peace with that. And again, don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I do think this is a pretty decent amount of money to have invested for a year, regardless if the market was up or down. So let's just see how I feel as time goes on. And then if you just look at the holdings, I'm in the green. I'm not the green. Oh, I think that was my fantasy coming through. I'm in the red. So essentially my entire gains got wiped out this past week. So let's take it one investment at a time. So VU is down 4.16% or $6,125.99. I did call it last week in last week's update. I was like, I bet next week VU is just going to be in a negative because it was just completely crashing. And then SCHD is literally holding on by a string at up 1.82% or $1,170.25. I expect this position to go into the negatives next week. And then QQQM is down 14.74% or $508.88. QQQM is essentially all tech stocks and they're doing horrible. So yeah, so overall I'm down 2.54% or $5,464.62. So that is all of the updates for this week. I've said this before, I'm always going to be authentic in terms of how I feel, how I'm processing this information. So I'm not going to come on here and say stocks are on sale and to buy the dip. For anyone who wants to do that, I think that's awesome. And I think that's great that you have that perspective. But this is horrible. This is like complete horrible. Like, that big investment that I made in March, like I wish I just put that money in cash because it's useless. It's literally gone. This is the money I put in March. This is it. It's all gone in like a week. So nobody knows what the stock market is going to do. So who knows? Maybe I'll get some of this money back. Maybe it'll be gone forever. I don't know. So this is where it is. Next week, I can't promise a video, but I will try my best to still post. If I put any amount of money in, I'll make a video, even if that's just like $25, which is probably what I'll aim to do. Put in $25 for next week, and that's it. All right, that is the update for this week. Let me know how your portfolios did. Maybe some of you got really lucky and your losses aren't as severe, or even with the loss, you're still up 30-40%. I don't know. But yeah, you're seeing it here. I'm 100% in the red right now, and it's most likely going to continue to get worse. All right, on that sober note, I will catch you next week. Bye.